to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome in. It's the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast, Wednesday, June 26th. I'm your host, Kyle Borganoni, and I am joined by Mike Wright and Jason Moore.
We getting nasty today. we getting down deep, dirty in it.
Right into it.
I mean, look, this is the Dynasty Podcast, so we go...
Emphasis on the nasty.
Yeah, the Dynasty Podcast. We go deep to players that are irrelevant, and a lot of times, on a lot of shows, ours included, we just always are talking about these superstar guys that we all know and love. Not today. Not today. We're going nasty.
I think that drop might be used, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 times.
We'll
it doesn't
see.
really matter. I'm giving you guys freedom. You guys are partially the captain of the ship. You get to run stuff.
Partial captain.
I am the host right now.
How does the ship have... What does a partial captain look like?
I'm giving you the reins. I'm giving you the wheel to press that drop as many times as you want, my friends. Betz is gone. He's at the beach. Apparently didn't care about this episode because we care about your dynasty benches. Jason was alluding to it. But this is a special episode. We've never done this before on our show, but we're calling it Dynasty Bench Warfare because I'm looking at some of these rosters in our dynasty leagues. And, the top players, the top 10 players, that's nice. That looks good. That's the screenshot that you shared with your friends. But there's some nasty benches on there. Players that I'm like, this guy, why is this guy even in the league? And so we're going to sort that out.
It really is my favorite part of Dynasty fantasy football is knowing how gross and nasty it is to even consider rostering these players, but also knowing, having played long enough, that throughout the entirety of the season, you're going to be starting some of these guys, and you better... It's better to wrap your head around what you're getting into like right now and the range of outcomes and the paths that could happen for these players than just responding in the season and hoping you find somebody.
Yeah, I just wrote an article called 5 Steps to Take So You Don't Fart Around This Summer in Dynasty. And I included the farting around because I think when you look at your roster and you look at running backs specifically, it's easy to go, oh, I got my RB1, RB2, I got a backup. Whoever your RB4 or 5 is right now, you might be needing them at some point.
You will be.
Yeah,
yes,
you will.
No, it's not you might. You will.
Them.
And I mean, Jason, last year, it was there for the taking for your team. Your running back situation was great. You had 2 of the best running backs that you could possibly have. I had those same guys in redraft, so I felt it. And at the end of the day, they let you down at the worst time at running back.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall were pretty good running backs last year, except for 1 week in the playoffs where they combined for like less than a point.
It's tough out there. So we'll go through some dynasty bench strategy, talk through some players. We'll even look at some players on our own roster and maybe even ask the question and talk it out like, can you really cut that guy? I think
you can't cut that guy.
No, look, in Dynasty, if you've listened to the Fantasy Footballers for any amount of time, you know you can't cut that guy. You can't do it.
He's a hold.
Too hard.
Clearly a hold. If you want all of our rankings, you can get them in the Ultimate Draft Kit Plus. Go to ultimatedraftkit.com. Dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, we're updating it all the time, including some of our busts and sleeper picks for this upcoming season. So it is a live thing. It's still going. But I did have a quick question for us. This one comes from Discord. It's Dan. And I think it's a great question for this part of the offseason where we are building towards the season. We've been kind of working behind the scenes. The question is, which statistics have you been cooking in the lab with this offseason? Any new metrics you are using more? So guys, anything behind the scenes that's kind of informed your opinion of how you build projections or, just how you look at certain player evaluations?
I'll let Mike go first because
right.
I just want to dap it up a little bit. This guy has been not like knee deep. He's been neck deep in a new spreadsheet he's been making using
in the sheets.
a spreadsheet that he's been making that is with the help of AI and garnering some pretty cool data. So, Mike, why don't you talk about what you've been working on?
So this one's not just specifically Dynasty, but it's looking at analysis on ADP. Like how well do people do when we're drafting? Because look, fantasy football players over the last 5 years, 10 to 5 years, they've been getting a lot better, and it's just it needs to be taken into account of, one, how well people are drafting, two, what you should expect. I'm looking at historical bust rates, things like when the first time a player finishes in the top 24, how do they do the next year? Like, and compare that to, the season that they hit that threshold. So, for example, guys in year 2. So running backs in year 2, they hit top 24 for the first time. How did they do the next year? And the sample is it goes back to 2015, and that's why I have 18 players. 12 of those running backs met their ADP, as in, you drafted this player at running back 6. Well, I expect that the running back 6 is going to hit this amount of points because, historically speaking, the running back 6 finishes with this amount of points. So did that player hit that? And which is like, this is valuable information. And so there's 18 players in that sample, the sample of year 2, first time they hit top 24, and then the next year, did they meet what they were drafted to do? 12 of them did. Only 6 missed, and a couple of them just barely missed. So essentially saying, like, a player, maybe it took you till year 2 and they hit top 24. Well, the next year, that's a good bet on that player. That 12 finishing at their ADP versus 6 not. That's massive, and so just being able to work with that, like guys in year 1, if they hit top 24, boys, we know this, but it's good to actually see the data of those 20 players, and since 2015, if they hit top 24 in year 1, 14 out of 20 met their ADP the next year of what they were being drafted at. So it's just in a bunch of things, like looking at teams that don't have a running back being drafted in the top 24, and there's almost always about 9 teams that meet that threshold. Well, we know that players are going to come out of nowhere. How many of those teams are actually sending players into the top 24? And the way that this moves into Dynasty is also just, it helps you have more confidence in the value of a player. If a running back, you're unsure that they're going to be able to sustain their production, well, look at the trends of ADP, how that player's profile in redraft, how well have they done historically, and that gives me more confidence now in that player. Guys like Isaiah Pacheco, it's, he's drafted in this round, and he finished this in his first year. Should we have confidence? Things like that is building actual data other than just, I've seen it work. No, it's getting actual numbers to these types of things. So what the plan for this in the future is, right now we're just assembling a whole bunch of data, building a bunch of tools so we can really have a grasp on what is happening for a whole bunch of different aspects of looking at meeting your ADP.
Yeah, and things like this that we're working on behind the scenes, it's not like we have necessarily the resource forward-facing. I mean, that's like
right.
the ultimate draft kit. Everything we do, all of our rankings, all of our stats, all of our projections, we take into account everything that we are looking at. Like, for me, the answer to this question is I've been looking a little bit deeper at scheme fits this year. Not just like how does a player do generically, but like, is there a scheme change? So like a couple examples, a shotgun runners versus under center runners. Some people are better at certain schemes, and so you've got like Zach Moss for Cincinnati, who is a very good runner out of shotgun, and they run out of shotgun a lot. Or conversely, you have Drake London. If you look at his yards per route run when he's got 3 wide receiver sets, when they're running 11 personnel, it's significantly better than his generic yards per route run. Like, he is way better in 11 personnel. And last year, Atlanta ran 11 personnel, the most in the league. And by that, I don't mean 3 wide receiver sets. I mean 11 tight ends on the field at once. They were the only team to pull it off. 11 tight ends. I mean, they were never running this. Now, Zach Robinson's going to be there. He's going to be running, taking over the system we've seen with 3 wide receivers on the field all the time. I think that bodes well for Drake London. So, when we're looking at whatever new data we're working with, it all filters in to our rankings, to our blurbs, to our breakouts, busts, values, all that stuff in the UDK.
Yeah. And I think one of the things at this point in the offseason is we want to look at what happened last year and take that descriptive data, but it doesn't just mean we copy and paste and said, this happened there, therefore this is what's going to happen. We're trying to find predictive things. I think it's what you were saying, Mike, with ADP. Like, what can I expect in the next year if this is, some of the factors? And so I know a lot of projections, you guys are doing that. You're looking at if this player hits this, that, they could be a top 12 running back. Isaiah Pacheco is a conversation we had. I wanted to throw out, for me, a lot of scheme stuff that Jason's talked about. I've thought about of Will Levis, can he work? And the only way I could answer that question other than just maybe he's Josh Allen is what did he do last year? And, you can look at first read. Like Will Levis locked on to whoever's first read was and one of the highest rates, and then he was willing to chuck it deep. He didn't actually scramble that much. So a lot of the Josh Allen hopes that we are hoping for, he didn't show that in year one of like taking off. He also didn't throw the ball away. He instead just chucked it deep at the highest rate in the league.
Or took a sack.
Yeah, or just got clobbered and didn't see anybody coming.
You want to talk about keeping your eyes downfield. Like that's usually something that means when you're, scrambling around the pocket, you're not just looking to run. You're looking at your wide receivers. I think he has taken this too serious. I think Will Levis is like, they say keep my eyes downfield. I only look way down the field. I can't see pass rushers because I'm not looking that close. I mean, that guy gets clobbered with a guy. I've never seen someone with worse vision of pass rushers. I feel bad for the dude. It's like you can't see him and make a move. I am really hopeful, though, and I think the offensive line improvements will be great for him.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him where I was like, I'm rooting for this guy. I want it to work, but I'm also might be putting together a clip of all of his biggest hits of the year.
Oh, really? Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Just for fun. Just
That's
to see
one
what
like
happens.
watch through your fingers as you like. At least we know he survived the season.
Yeah, he's fine. And then one more statistic that I've been playing around with, and it's kind of gaining steams in the fantasy circles, is first down per route run. You're going to see this a lot on Twitter.
Nerd.
I know. Imagine that. It's sticky and predictive compared to some other stats because it doesn't get skewed by like huge plays, right? Like the worst part about yardage things is like one 80-yard reception and a 2-yard reception gives you a crazy average compared to first downs, which kind of weeds out a lot of those things. The weakness is that every first down isn't really created equally. Like a 3-yard versus an 80-yard touchdown is very different. And maybe this is just me. You guys have been doing this even longer, but every time there's a new statistic that kind of comes up in the fantasy circles, it's fun because they're new and we like new shiny things. They kind of end up being the same guys that we think are good. Like first downs per route run. You look at the list. It's Tyreek, Jefferson, Ayuk, Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, Nico. It's the guys we think are great. If you sort by yards per route run, the top 10 list doesn't change at all. So it's like it's
the
another
order
statistic.
Moves a little bit,
right?
But
the order changes, but it's really negligible.
It's the same
guys.
guys.
It doesn't really matter. So I think at the end of the day, I like these statistics. I like adding them into our analysis, but we don't just focus on just one thing. We try to take a holistic approach in how we do things. So I did find though that there's some good Dontayvion Wicks propaganda in first downs per route run.
Well, I mean that's just easy. You watch Dontayvion Wicks and you go, there's going to be data to say he's good. Because he's good.
He's great. I'm glad you got to talk about him the other day. He was number one among the Packers in first downs per route run. I mean, he's a good player. Just
and you know what he was in the like a couple weeks into last year's season. He was a nasty boy that was there. Just pick him up. I did. I just picked him up, and now it's like, hey. Do I have a player here? Do I have someone who can actually make it into my starting roster? Maybe.
That might be one of the best feelings in Dynasty. Not only did you pick up a player ahead of somebody else, be like, oh my gosh, this could be a startable asset. Yeah. Like, I don't know, if you were to pick up Puka Nacua last summer in your main Ballers Dynasty League or something.
Many people got Puka for either like a late third or a fourth round rookie pick, or for a $0 fab priority bid on the waiver wire. And holy crap. I mean, it has to be like Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill was the name that came to mind as soon as you were talking about that.
Back. I mean, it's hard to remember where the beginning of Tyreek Hill's career, but he was a later round pick. He was not really on anyone's radar for heavy hitters for Dynasty. I mean, of course, sleepers, like, look at this guy. He's outrageously fast. But I believe the majority of people who got him first in Dynasty on their rosters, it was for nothing. Yeah. It was just like, oh, sure, I'll pick this kid up and we'll see what happens.
I think every Dynasty league I was in, he was picked up off of waivers, which is just insane to think about.
Yeah, because we didn't even know when he came out if he was going to be used more as like a running back, special teams only, and then he blows up, his rookie year, and rest is history. So yeah, there are guys right now sitting on our wire that we are missing, and it makes me want to go look at our wire right now. So I might do that in the middle of this episode. Let's jump into talking about our Dynasty benches.
It's Dynasty Bench Warfare.
It's good stuff, people. I'm glad we got the group in.
Oh, my goodness.
While you guys were on vacation, I called in a favor, and we had some people record in studio there.
Yes.
That drop.
No, that's very good.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I had no part of it. Let's talk about Dynasty benches, because at the end of the day, I want a group that maybe they're not my top 10 best players, but they make my team resilient. And I think when I look at the waiver wire, I look at some of our leagues, it's easy to kind of go one way on the pendulum of just like, I need to pick up anybody who has any fart or any whistle out there from a beat reporter and just like take that kind of shotgun approach.
Did you say fart?
Fart or whistle, yeah.
Wait, that was on purpose.
Is that a phrase?
Yes.
Fart or whistle's not a phrase, bro.
Oh, man, I'm going to get you right now.
Any fart or whistle?
This is what people are doing in the South? Saying any fart or whistle? What are you doing?
Trying to find a reason to justify it. Hold on.
You will not find it.
Yeah, keep Googling. This is something his family said. He's like, no, it's a big thing here in Atlanta. This is not a phrase, man. Any fart or whistle? I'm Googling any fart or whistle, and all I'm finding is fart whistles, which are apparently a thing.
Man, I guess that's a Southern family thing.
You are today years old when you realize that is not a phrase.
Grandpappy Borganoni used to say this all the time.
I'm just looking for anyone with a fart or a whistle. Okay.
You proceed.
Man,
you weirdo.
Mike and I both were like, I'm pretty sure he said fart.
What's funny is I said it and I kept going because it was nothing to me.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible.
Okay, we're just looking for anybody.
Yeah.
With any blurb out there. Nope, no results found. Not a thing. AI doesn't even know what it is. We're just trying to find somebody out there on our Dynasty waiver wires. But you can't go the other way where you're just kind of wait and you wait for everybody else to jump in. So I don't know, like, what is y'all's mentality when it comes to picking up players at this point in the offseason? Where is it just any blurb I need to jump in? Because all of us have limited spaces, and we'll talk about that. I did a poll asking, like, what are most Dynasty bench spaces? But I'm not just looking for any beat report.
No, I think for me, I am looking for beat reports. I do care very much about, what's happening, especially the young guys, the rookies or incoming players, guys who haven't yet developed. I'm looking for surprising news, but you have to pair that and match that with opportunity in front of them. Like, if it hits, does it not matter because they're on a bad team with a strong position group ahead of them, where it's like, okay, they could be good, they're doing all right, but it's really not gonna matter. Or is there news here and this person looks like they're gonna crack the starting roster, or for Dynasty purposes, maybe they're really impressing. Like there's a guy I've been keeping my eye on that I'm a little bit
You don't want to tell us.
No,
who
I
it is.
don't. I don't.
But it's for the people, Jason.
It is for the people. No, it's Jared Wiley, rookie tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been really impressive in camp. He's been and there's been good news about him, and I've got a note on my desk of Wiley Coyote. I wrote that on my desk because I didn't want people to see the player name, but I don't have anyone to drop right now. And so I'm waiting for someone to go get marked out or some other news because I just kind of want to pick him up a little early before other people. I mean, he's like right now I'm leaving him on waivers. But it's the situation where if you're making noise, you've got an opportunity here. How many years is Kelsey going to play?
Chiefs tight end.
Chiefs tight end, yes. Rookie tight end for the Chiefs. And so, that's, super nasty. But you combine the good news, the good beat reports. You also want a quality player. He's got good athleticism, and then the opportunity for the system to make an impact because most of the guys you're going to pick up are going to end up being worthless.
Yeah, absolutely. The my part of my policy right now is, it's not every day I'm looking, but at least once a week I'm just going to scour over the running backs, make sure I didn't miss a drop, because at this point, anybody who could be a backup running back needs to be on your roster. And if it's like even better, if the situation is ambiguous and the team is not even 100% sure who the backup is or who the starter is, the Denver Broncos are they are that team for me this offseason of just Javonte has unfortunately last year he was not looking great, did not get back to form after the terrible knee injury he suffered, to the point of the Broncos took a late round pick, a day 3 pick in Estime out of Notre Dame, who while he's slow, he is a big bruising back, and I thought that he was a worthwhile 3rd round pick. And then we talked about nasty Blake Watson on this show previously. Betz brought him up, and it was like, man, an undrafted, really, we're going to do this again? And then you dive into things like Sean Payton has worked incredible wonders with undrafted players. Flash forward just a couple weeks, and all of a sudden there's news stories coming out. Will Javonte get cut? I don't think he does because he's still pretty cheap for this team, but it's holy crap. This is where we are. Javonte Williams might be unrostered by the Denver Broncos. And then you see a lot of beat reporters talking about, the battle of Jaleel McLaughlin versus Blake Watson. Of McLaughlin, he's got juice. He was a pretty fun, nasty boy to pick up last year. But they're talking, Blake Watson's a much better pass protector. And look, Blake's out of Memphis, which
soft spot.
I mean, I will always stand for running backs coming out of Memphis, it seems. So I'm saying these were guys that are cheap, or maybe even on the waiver wire. Like Blake Watson might still be on your wire. And what is that situation with the running backs for the Denver Broncos? The Indianapolis Colts are very similar. Yes, Jonathan Taylor's locked in. He is absolutely the starter. Zach Moss was incredible for fantasy football last year. And Zach Moss, speaking of waiver wire guys, I saw Zach Moss get picked up off of the waiver wire last year, and it was hilarious because, come on, Zach Moss isn't going to do anything at this point in his career, and then boom, he is a huge storyline for the entirety of the fantasy football season. Who's the backup now for JT? Could be Evan Hull, who was drafted in the 5th round last year, but from the depths of Kyle Shanahan's grave that he dug, Trey Sermon is on the Colts, and he's getting steamed up right now.
He's on my bench in our league.
Yeah, and when you picked him up, I was very upset, and it was because Trey Sermon could be the backup for the Colts. So I mean, that's the number one thing that I'm looking for right now. We all want to find the Tyreek Hill or the Puka, the 5th round wide receiver who just catapults to being a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. That doesn't happen very often. But backup running backs getting 2 to 3 starts a year, that happens every single season. So that's my primary focus, is making sure I'm tuned in to all my dynasty leagues, looking at the running backs and going, oh, wait, that name has been being talked up. He's being talked up as the potential backup in this situation. So that's my goal, and that it's very fun. It's a good feeling scouring it, and you go, oh, bing, there's a name, and put the claim in immediately.
No, it's a great feeling to have Trey Sermon on my bench, knowing that he probably won't be on my bench, a couple months from now when he does nothing and doesn't make the team. But that 1% chance is really, really fun. We're going to talk some more strategy and then walk through some benches and kind of talk through some situations of what you could do with your team. So we're going to take a quick break. A lot of managers with dynasty benches, a lot of times are passive because you sit there, you're seeing all these other people make moves. You're like, I have all these other players, and we joke like you can't cut that guy. But not making a decision is a decision in itself. You're just not really doing a ton. Like you're choosing to hold on to a player like, I don't know, Denzel Mims, thinking that maybe he just got cut recently, so that's why he was on my mind. A lot of times there's this fear, though, of I'm going to miss out. And so I want to talk about that real quick and then talk about, well, how do you clean house? Because there are guys right now on all of our rosters, and likely yours, and maybe you're saying not in my league, I have 40 bench spots, that you probably need to clean house or at least be willing to move on because you've held on for too long. So I don't know, do you guys struggle with that feeling of like, I'm going to miss out or he's going to go off on somebody else's team?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I can look at my dynasty team and I can see 10 guys that are worthless until I go and hover over drop. And then I'm like, oh, no. There's like Juju Smith-Schuster's on my team. And it's like, you can't cut that guy. It's just so hard. It's like he could really be the starter. They're paying him a lot of money. They need him. What if the rookie is good? Also, he could be completely irrelevant and never be able to be started for the rest of his career.
You got to look at – it's hard to look at your own team objectively. It is extremely difficult, especially in Dynasty, because you become so emotionally invested in players, especially the ones that rise from nowhere. I mean, those are the players that you buy like the autographed jersey and you frame it. You're like, I was carried to a championship because I started Jarrett Patterson in championship week for Washington, and he got a touchdown right away. And you become invested in those players. Meanwhile, I could go look at Jason's roster and go, what does that guy do? There's 6 players. I would cut those guys immediately. But if you transpose them onto my roster, be like, ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I see it.
I see the path. The path is there.
I think every single person has a Patriots wide receiver on their roster, a different one. It's like, I could see the path for Kayshon Boutte.
Yep.
Or now this brings up players that you need to clean house. Like Tyquan Thornton, he can be dropped.
Yeah.
For the most. I mean, no. 2 years in, it hasn't worked.
Second round pick.
There's all second round pick.
Super young.
He's got super speed. He's got the height. I mean, you
New
can't
quarterback. You can't drop that guy.
But yeah, Tyquan Thornton is you can.
There
is
is something valuable to moving on from young failing wide receivers. It's not that can't ever Devontae Parker and be like, oh man, I missed out on a really good season. It just took him 4 years to break out. The truth, though, is that the vast, vast, vast majority of time, it does not work out. Like, it's not going to work out for Sky Moore. It's not going to work out for Tyquan Thornton. And making the decisions a little bit earlier is usually valuable. You got to keep going for, the next chance for that to break out. I'm sitting there looking at my roster. I've got Treylon Burks, and I can't take my own advice here.
You can't cut that guy.
I know. I'm like, the point is, it's not going to work for him. Like it's
in Tennessee, it's not.
It's not going to work for him, and so being able to move on. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a matter of what are you replacing him with. But I would rather have a DeMarcus Robinson who looks like a valuable piece of the Stafford offense. You know, I can start him. And so making gross transactions like that usually pay off.
One of the things that we've talked about before is that there's different thresholds we want players to meet. And we talked about that a lot with wide receivers. Like if they haven't done it within year one, a bunch of red flags. Like with Huge, it's like, okay, you have some red flags. You're obviously going to wait it out. But then after year two, you can start moving forward with certain players. But like Sky Moore, I'm looking at roster percentages and Sleeper. 61% of rosters have Sky Moore on them. That's really, really high for Dynasty.
Any minute now. Any minute. I mean, sky's the limit. He's totally going to work out. And the thing is, to just go back to what I was saying and what you are currently saying, which is moving on from these young wide receivers who really kind of fail early, that doesn't mean you cut them. What it means is they actually hold value really well after their rookie season, after their sophomore season. After a kind of failed rookie season, you can get quite a bit for Huge from someone who still believes. And so that's where it's like, man, maybe we capitalize on this data that we have, all the red flags we have, and trade them for value, knowing that it's probably not going to work out.
Which Huge is Quentin Johnston of the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know if we actually said that part.
If you're new to the show, Huge.
Yep.
It's a
he
huge
hasn't changed
problem.
his name. So I was asking people about roster spots, and it seems like the sweet spot is 25 total. A lot of people are starting about 9 or 10, and Sleeper, it's about 22. So a lot of people are working with about 15 spots or more. I mean, there's some real degenerate leagues. You know, if you're out there and you're like, hey, we start 40 deep, whatever. But you're thinking of at least 15 spots on your roster that you are trying to build depth. And now if it's super flex, get all the quarterbacks you can. Let's go for that. But I want to focus more on the running back position because I'm pretty sure that whoever you are, you probably don't have enough running backs on your roster. I think that's just like the rule of thumb. Whatever you think you have or you're good, you probably don't have enough. So
I know I don't. I know I don't. My depth on my main Dynasty league is running back is so
we are
bad.
trying to figure out a way to leverage that on Jason because we started acquiring some other player. Like we just acquired Najee as like our RB3. Thinking like, okay, we want another team to get really bad. We also have the quarterbacks that Jason has no backup quarterback in a one quarterback league.
My starters. I got Jalen Hurts. I got Breece Hall, Bijan. I've got Travis Etienne, and then behind those is nothing. I don't have a roster.
So I'm looking at running backs that are in these categories. They have standalone value. Like you can get a flex week out of this player if you needed to. That's like the Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson for this context for this year. Like you could start them and kind of give you, RB 25 to 36 numbers. Then there are the young insurance running backs and the lottery ticket running backs. It's like, oh man, if this hits, I am killing it. You don't want to have players in only one category, right? Like it would be great to have a bunch of flex players, but you also want to have the young insurance backs like Braylon Allen, like where it's like, okay, I'm not really expecting anything out of him, but if Breece Hall were to go down, I think he might be the guy. You want to have a mix of these kind of players. So in these standalone value, I'm going to mention some guys that are on benches right now. Chuba Hubbard, Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, who apparently Jason and Andy think is just the worst thing in the world these days. I will not stand for this, Mike.
Hey, look.
You could start Antonio Gibson in the Dynasty League.
Mike's coming towards me.
No, I'm not. I'm not throwing.
I'm taking the L for him getting the contract.
That's all it is. Is Ramondre getting that amount of guaranteed millions of dollars? It says a lot.
Yeah. There's other standalone guys. Jaleel McLaughlin, I think, is a really fun one this year. I think Ray Davis is going to have some goal line carries like Latavius did. And then Ty Chandler is another player. It's like, is it going to be a split backfield? Or are they going to figure it out? So of those guys, any of those particularly you want to talk about that you're kind of zeroing in on for 2024 is like, hey, I think this is a valuable bench piece.
Valuable. I would start with Ty Chandler as number one. So out of Minnesota, basically had taken the job from Alexander Mattison by the end of the season. For I think the majority of us watching Minnesota Vikings games, we say, what took so long, and this is coming from an Alexander Madison supporter, of Ty Chandler was just a more explosive guy. Like, things would happen for your offense if you're going to give him the ball. Now, just remembering what happened there, because it was rapid and it was very fast in the free agency period. Alexander Madison had not yet been let go, but they were talking with Coach O'Connell, and O'Connell was really talking up Ty Chandler and just how much he liked what he had done the past year, how he expects his role to grow into next year. Then Alexander Madison gets cut. So, I mean, there's this brief period of time where it's, holy crap, Ty Chandler is currently the starting running back for the Vikings. We know they'll bring somebody else in. Well, then the Green Bay Packers ruined everything because for us with Ty Chandler on our roster, because they did their switcheroo with Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs, and then Minnesota said, well, fine, if you're going to throw Aaron Jones away, we're going to bring him in, and we're going to try and beat you with your own player, which, look, that's going to be really fun to watch the Packers and the Vikings games. But Aaron Jones is older, and I think that Ty Chandler is being overlooked as what he will actually be able to do. Now, I mean, huge upside, of course, because he is now the insurance running back for Aaron Jones, who seemingly always misses time and is an older running back, so chances of Aaron Jones missing games this year, I think, is pretty high. But there's also the chance that this is just a timeshare, like a true timeshare, not just Aaron Jones is getting the vast majority, Ty Chandler every once in a while.
Well, Aaron Jones has never been
right,
he's not
exactly.
getting 300 carries at this stage of his career. No chance.
Yeah, so Ty Chandler to me is a player who does have standalone value, has the built-in nitro should Aaron Jones miss time. But I think that maybe just because of how everything happened, of this huge rush of dopamine and excitement for Ty Chandler that got just squashed, moments later, it turned I don't know, it seems like Ty Chandler to me, the buzz anyways, the social media buzz has been very, very low.
Are you saying that we should pump him up or just keep it low? You want under the radar.
We just did. Mike just did.
People always want us. It's the irony of fantasy football shows are people want our information, because we're in it. This is our full-time job. We're every single day looking at what can happen, crunching numbers and all those things. So I want to give good information. And then you give good information and people are like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Take it easy, man. Don't tell anybody else. I'm sorry. This is how it works.
You can text me. It's like you just want that one-on-one advice. From that list of players that you mentioned earlier, Kyle, I would go with Ray Davis. This is a guy that I know is old as dirt for a running back coming in as a rookie.
So old.
But I really liked him. I liked his film. I liked his production. He played for, good teams and did well. He showed out at the Senior Bowl, and now he finds himself in a great offense for the Buffalo Bills.
For context, he will be turning 25.
Yes.
He will be turning.
He played at 3 colleges.
He will be turning 25 this year, and I think the generally accepted age cliff for the running back position is 27 is when it starts to happen.
His age is inappropriate.
His age is inappropriate. There, Braylon Allen, you brought him up. He will play his entire rookie season.
He's got a learner's permit right now.
At 20 years old. So, I mean, he is certainly old. But the thing is the Bills love old dudes.
Yeah,
They brought in Latavius Murray, and that was a player that you plugged in as a starter a handful of times last year because you go, when I'm looking in a dynasty league at who can fall into the end zone a lot, it's going to be, they're going to bring in the big body back. And so I do like Ray Davis. I think he's a talented player on a good offense. We'll have goal line opportunities, and should anything happen to James Cook, then you have some future upside there.
Yeah, I like it. On the flip side, I want to have the discussion about what do you guys feel about Jaleel McLaughlin for the Denver Broncos. He will be turning 24 this year because he is a fascinating player because look, he's smaller, he's 5'7", maybe 190. So I mean, he is one of those shifty jitterbug type of players who was getting a ton of praise over the OTAs and things like that, which then the reporters are quick to remind you there's no pads on right now. And a player like Jaleel McLaughlin, like without pads on and you can't really hit a guy, then he's going to look awesome.
Yeah.
Like you put Jaleel on a flag football team.
Yes.
And it's going to be absolutely incredible as he makes people look foolish. But to me, like, I'm pretty out.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty out on Jaleel McLaughlin because, like, as the season went, weeks 4 and 5 are, at least for fantasy football, he ended up as the running back 9 and running back 8. In week 4, it was 10 opportunities, so 7 carries, 3 targets, ended up as the running back 9. The next week, 13 opportunities, running back 8, and that's when it kind of felt like, whoa, maybe there's something to Jaleel McLaughlin. Was able to show out and really help the team. And then his usage, like, it really got throttled back very, very quick after that. He was not trusted at all in pass protection. To me, it's like last year with the state of the running backs for the Denver Broncos, how is Samaje Perine catching so many passes? How are they not using McLaughlin more?
You know what it reminds me of? Just situationally, not the player comp, but that we had that with Tyson Williams. You remember for the Ravens?
Yes.
When it was like he had so much juice.
No, exactly.
And he had these big plays, but the coaching staff was just like, can't rely on him in certain ways, whether it was pass protection or whatever it was. Everyone in the world.
And they went to like Devonta Freeman or
yes, it was Devonta Freeman in 2021 and Latavius Murray. They're like, I'm just going with these old guys who are reliable veterans who aren't going to screw up. We don't need you to do everything in the world and break a home run. We need you to, not ever mess up. And I don't know, maybe that's that way with McLaughlin, but the coaches have been praising him.
Yes, especially his work ethic.
Yeah, and so I'm not out on McLaughlin, but situationally of what you're saying, where you see the juice, he has big breakout games, and then they don't utilize him and they kind of go away from him, that's reminiscent and could be a red flag of like
the snaps in that time. So when he had the good games, 33% of the snaps, 33% of the snaps, goes up to 40 the following week, and then for the next, it looks like 7 games, he doesn't see over 20% of the snaps. So it's I'm not saying I'm out as in if he were on a waiver wire. Of course I would pick him up because I just waxed poetic of I want pieces of the Denver Bronco running back room just in case. But I think if I had McLaughlin and somebody else were interested in it, I might cash out instead of holding onto my scratcher and see if it turns into something really big.
That makes sense at this point of the offseason where you're going to get hype stuff. And like you mentioned, like when someone says they're running with the ones or doing this, like, okay, who's not there?
Right.
Are they wearing pads? Like, those are the questions you have to ask. I think if Jaleel McLaughlin would have played in fantasy football 6 years ago, we'd be like, this is a PPR scat back, like Theo Reddick or something. Because he did lead all running backs in targets per out run. Like, all running backs target on 37% of his routes. So I think we like that there. I don't think we'll ever see more than 10 opportunities in a game compared to what else they have. So I think he's a fun player for a PPR league. I think he's kind of capped, and we see with undrafted guys, they're here and they can just be expendable. I think that's what's going to happen with Keaton Mitchell, where it's like, yes, he was here last year. It took him until week 9 to get on the field, and yet he might not return, at any point this year. Who knows? That's another backfield, by the way, I really like. I want to figure out if it's Justice Hill, Rasheen Ali. But, yeah, I think McLaughlin is fine. But if somebody wants to give you a second, I'd take a second.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's the hype around him right now, though.
Man, if I could immediately get a second rounder, I would do that. I think of him more as in, it's a trade sweetener, so to speak.
Ooh.
Yeah, I certainly think that in most leagues there will be someone in the league that will give you a second for McLaughlin right now.
Yeah. So we talked about standalone running backs, young insurance running backs. There are lottery ticket guys, and I think Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
is one of the ones right now that it seems like from the news that Garindo is just going to be a special teams guy. And it's a case in point where it's like, look at what he did at the combine. Great. He got, day 3 draft capital, but it seems like this team trusts Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell was I think he is an exceptional dynasty asset to have. Elijah Mitchell has always been the dominant backup to any injury to the starter for Shanahan. The way Shanahan talks about Elijah Mitchell, there is no room for no matter who else is on the roster doing well, Elijah Mitchell is the backup.
Right.
Like it's difficult around the league. We see all these players coming up, getting hype, and you're not even sure they're the backup. Elijah Mitchell is 100% the backup to Christian McCaffrey. Should Christian McCaffrey go down, Elijah Mitchell's going to be in there and going to be a fantasy superstar for however many weeks that is. And so he should be rostered. Now, Garindo could be the future. Elijah Mitchell is not going to I don't think he's going to get a contract extension as a backup. He'll probably have to go somewhere. And so Garindo is someone I want on my roster as well. But if you're talking about like the lottery ticket guys, the league-winning backups that happen every year due to injuries in front of them, Elijah Mitchell's probably at the top of my list.
And his value only goes up as you get closer to your league's trade deadline. Like if McCaffrey's healthy and you get to dangle him in front of the CMC manager and say, I have this player, we know he's the backup, then yeah, like at the trade deadline, think like this is a piece that I can depart with if you need to. I did want to go through a quick list, and you guys just tell me if they're done or not, because I see these players on Dynasty benches, and like they're above 50%, meaning like a majority of leagues, these guys are on them. Dalvin Cook.
He's not done.
He's
Done.
on our waiver wire right now.
Okay.
And I've thought about it many, many times.
I just told you how many running backs I need. I need running back depth. Dalvin Cook is on the yeah, he's done.
Cam Akers.
Done.
Michael Carter.
Done.
Yeah. I mean.
Okay. Here's a weird one. Deuce Vaughn.
I probably would leave him on waivers as well.
Man. Yeah. He's a he's a really interesting case of like the Dallas Cowboy backfield. That's another one of like Rico Dowdle. Look, the odds-on favorite, Ezekiel Elliott should be the primary guy for the Dallas Cowboys, but Zeke didn't look that great last year. I know he caught a lot of passes, and when it was his time up, when Ramondre Stevenson missed some games, Zeke was very valuable for fantasy football, but that's because he was getting so much work and so many receptions. I don't think we really know what the backfield is going to look like. So for them to not even try to get Deuce Vaughn involved this year would be a huge red flag. I don't know that I would drop him. I think he's worth
You can't
holding.
drop him. He's Deuce Vaughn.
I think he's worth holding on to, but
You can't drop him because he's already on the ground. I mean, it's so low.
it is like it's also funny of the comparison. Remembering back last offseason was Deuce Vaughn and Devon Achane. Like they were linked at the hip of these are the two small guys who are super productive, but they're tiny. They're crazy athletic, but they're tiny, and it can't work. And then one goes as a day 2 pick to the Miami Dolphins and is now being valued as at least a top 15 startup running back. And then you have Deuce Vaughn, and we're like, should you even roster this guy? Where you land, where you go in the draft, you have no control over, but it brutally dictates your career.
But Deuce Vaughn ran a 4.61.
Yeah,
when you're
the 40, but I mean he's got good short area quickness.
Very productive, and I think he's a quality back. The way that Devin Singletary is, like when Devin Singletary was coming out, I was like, this guy, if he's got a good coach who's willing to use him, he's going to be a quality running back. I think the same thing of Deuce Vaughn, but the Achane comparison is like, well, neither one is like the explosive home run hitting superstar potential. They just don't have the athleticism.
I think a lot of times you forget what you thought a year ago because Deuce Vaughn did get some hype.
Yes.
last
for
summer.
Sure.
And you kind of forget. So I think over time it's good to either just like remind yourself if you want to like have a a spreadsheet that just says like, okay, here's what I was hearing about these players so that you can move on if you need to. Let's take a quick break and then we'll talk about some wide receivers. Oh, get it.
Do you know Deuce Vaughn's yards per attempt last year?
Oh, he probably killed it, right? I have no idea.
doubt
I have no
it.
memory of what he did.
I don't think it was good.
It was 1.7.
Oh, yeah.
How many carries did he get?
He saw
Too many, apparently.
he saw 30. He saw 30 opportunities, 23 carries. At the beginning of the year, it seemed like they had a plan to just give him a couple touches a game, and then the second half he was not used. He was
For a reason.
Yeah.
He's, small portions for him.
Yeah, maybe you can just leave him on the wire.
All right, let's take a quick break. All right, let's move over to wide receivers that you could have on your bench. And I put a couple categories here because there are certain veteran wide receivers that if you're starting them right now, I'm assuming you're looking at your roster and feel like, oh, man, I'm flexing this guy. But you mentioned earlier Demarcus Robinson, Josh Palmer, Zay Jones, Brandon Cooks are all players that I think you will be flexing at some point this year, and you feel pretty confident in their role. Mike Williams, who knows what they're going to get. That team is a wild card to me, by the way.
The Jets.
Like the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets are one of the teams I have no idea. Adam Thielen, Darius Slayton is going to be running a ton of routes like he always does. Kendrick Bourne, one of Mike's favorites. Greg Dortch just won't die. And then same thing with Josh Reynolds. That dude just somehow stays alive and ends up getting snapped. So any of those guys that just interest you of just like, hey, I think you might be flexing this guy.
The first two names you mentioned to me
those are fabulous.
Though they're gonna be almost, if you're in a deeper league where you're playing multiple flex positions, Demarcus Robinson and Joshua Palmer are guys that will be in those flex spots a lot of times this year. They have established roles for their teams. They have good quarterbacks. In the case of Demarcus Robinson, you saw at the end of last year, like the beginning of last year, Tutu Atwell was looking like a thing, and then Demarcus Robinson really took that role over, and he was awesome down the stretch. He was utilized a lot in the red zone, caught a bunch of touchdowns, seemed like someone that you can – and that was that was when Cooper Kupp and Puka were there. I know it's hard to play a third, but when you've got a good offense, you can. And for Joshua Palmer – when he's been given the opportunity, I know we've joked about how like
we've pooped on him.
Yeah, we've pooped on him a little bit, but at the same time, he's a solid NFL wide receiver. He's playing in a role where he is very necessary. They need him to go out there and get 60 to 80 yards and a touchdown every 3 games. They need to target him, 7 to 10 times on the reg. And so you're getting good quality Justin Herbert throws. And when Keenan went down or, when you saw
RIP.
Palmer step up and have big games. You've seen it for a couple of years where when the main, target leader for that team goes down, Palmer can't step up. So those two guys, they're I think, if you're working trades with people and they've got those guys on the bottom of their roster, they might not be valued properly. I would love to have those guys on my roster.
Would you rather have Demarcus Robinson and Palmer or a third? Could a third get it done?
I would definitely want those guys over a third-round pick.
Okay, because that's what I think. You can trade with a manager who's rebuilding and saying, hey, I'll give you my third for a player they might cut a year from now. And then there are the players that are in this weird nebulous zone. They are young, so they hold value, and there is hope that they have a new role on their team. So, like, I'm looking at benches that have Marvin Mims, Khalil Shakir, the aforementioned Dontayvion Wicks. I threw in Bo Melton just because he's fun.
Oh, the Butterman.
Because he's great. And then there are these...
Look, everyone knows, just like fart in a whistle.
Right.
Everyone knows that Bo Melton is the Butterman.
Yeah, he's the Butterman. That's his nickname. Everyone knows that.
There are other young teases. Like Cedric Tillman is getting, some buzz right now. Like, oh, well, he's going to have a starting outside role. Jalen Tolbert in year 3, who hasn't done anything, could have a starting role. Somebody in New Orleans could have a starting outside role if it's A.T. Perry. One of the Tampa Bay guys, maybe it's Trey Palmer, maybe it's Jaleel McLaughlin. These guys, I feel like it's really easy to like hope in them when like my expectation apart from Wicks is that these guys all airball this year, that they're not that important. Unless you guys have different opinions.
I would say,
I mean, I want Mims to work.
yeah. I would say we all want Mims to work, but of everyone, look, Wicks is at the top of this list, but Khalil Shakir to me is from Buffalo. Like what is going on with the Buffalo wide receivers? You know, the ADPs of them are pretty low right now when you're talking about redraft, which is absolutely wild when you say Josh Allen is the first or the second quarterback being drafted. And I think that the kind of the automatic feeling right now is, well, Keon Coleman was the first rounder. We like him. His interviews are incredibly fun. Yeah, we'll give him the highest odds of being the number one target for Josh Allen. I don't think that's the case. Like I'm putting my chips honestly on Curtis Samuel. I think Curtis Samuel will be the wide receiver to have on a roster. But I got Khalil Shakir as the number two, like the number two odds of being the best wide receiver for him for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm pretty interested in having him stashed on my bench.
I would agree completely with that. The only other name that I would throw out that I think might not airball, A.T. Perry.
A.T.
A.T. Perry was, obviously he was a rookie last year, and I think with Michael Thomas gone, coming into your second year, there's an opportunity for him to be okay.
Yeah. These guys are rosterable. Like, it's really hard. You gave the case. But it's also not one of those things where it's like you shouldn't be depending on production from these guys, as a lot of them the wide receiver 3. Like, Shakir's hard for me because they now have an offense where they run a lot of 12. And he wasn't that guy. Like, he was the slot wide receiver. He was good against zone. But I just looked it up. He had 5 routes when there were 2 wide receivers on the field last year. 5 total routes. So
that's brutal.
If it's Samuel and if it's Keon Coleman, then he's just going to be the odd man out. So he's a name that I did flip in a trade because someone thought he was going to be the dude.
Of those names that we just like, Jalen Tolbert and Trey Palmer seem the most unlikely to me. I mean, they're all unlikely, but the most unlikely of the unlikely to me would be Tolbert and Palmer.
Yeah, Tolbert is nothing.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
What if I told you a couple years ago he was the highest drafted third-round wide receiver ever in best ball history?
Yeah. There was a lot of excitement. And then, what? I think that's part of the problem is we were all very excited for Jalen to get best ball. No, it's Jalen Tolbert. We were excited for that player, and then we got let down.
All right, give me some quick hitters here. I'm going to say a name. They're young, but I have them in the young but not happening. So tell me if you disagree. Treylon Burks.
I still believe.
Yeah, I've got a candle burning.
I give him a 5% chance of Devontae Parkering.
Nice. We said Sky Moore. Kadarius Toney.
No, they're done.
Tyquan Thornton.
No.
Mingo. Jonathan Mingo.
Man,
that is a perfect one to move on from quick.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jason was talking about.
You'd put him out there as a landmine.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't drop him, but
no.
Jason's saying you could trade him. Like he was a second-round pick just a year ago, but all the peripheral and outside statistics of even when a player doesn't give you good raw totals of like massive yardage and touchdowns, there's other things you can look to that are key markers: targets per route run, yards per route run. The Kyle talking about first down per route run. And Mingo he scores so poorly in them, which it's a massive disappointment.
They spent a first-round pick on a wide receiver and then signed Deontay Johnson. They don't see Jonathan Mingo as like, oh, he's going to develop into our wide receiver 1 or 2.
I think they're already taking the L there.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more here. John Mechie.
Yeah.
No, probably not. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Tutu Atwell.
I mean, if DeMarcus
You
Robinson
can't cut
goes
him.
away,
You know how good this team is? That's how I feel.
I wouldn't cut Tutu. I'd hold on to him.
He's right there at the end. Alec Pierce, who ran, I just checked this, 605 routes last year, 8th most in the NFL.
Incredible. No,
That dude is fit.
Yeah, he is not. He's not ever gonna get it done.
Yeah, there's a list of other guys that, the Van Jeffersons,
No.
Juju Smith-Schusters,
No.
that are there. They could have a role. But it's pretty clear that they're on the sunsetting part of their career. They're dusties. They're done. I wanted to finish this episode and look at y'all's end of bench. Just, in our main Dynasty League, at the lowest rostered player names. And I want you to give me the case for these players of why you are keeping them. Give me the best case because you can't cut them. So, for instance, Mike, you're bottom 5 in roster percentage.
This is so easy. All these guys have – guys, I don't even know why we're talking about it. The path is clear. I know exactly what's going to happen. Fine, give me a name.
Evan Hull.
I talked about it. He ends up being the actual backup to Jonathan Taylor, who keeps missing games because he's fragile. And so
Schoon
Evan,
Man.
so that's Luke Schoonmaker, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. And look, there are very few situations where you actually want to have the insurance tight end because you know that if the starter goes down, it's an immediate point of emphasis for that team. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, it doesn't matter who the tight end is, they're going to get targets. Jake Ferguson's the guy, but Schoonmaker was a second-round pick, missed basically all of the offseason last year, already talking about getting him more involved. Look, if Ferguson misses time, then Schoonmaker's the top priority out of the week.
All I hear is great stuff. Parkinson, I do like Colby Parkinson. I wanted him.
From the Rams?
Yeah, he got a ton of guaranteed money.
Yeah, that's the case for him is you're hoping he's not – who is the Minnesota Viking tight end that got all that sweet –
Josh Oliver?
Yeah, he got all that sweet cash, but just to be like an NFL player and, not a fantasy football player. But, I mean, Colby Parkinson, it's a really easy – you can't cut that guy. He got all that guaranteed money. Tyler Higbee is not long for the Rams and is also coming off of a devastating knee injury.
Yeah, he should not be ready. On my bench is Davis Allen, last year's rookie tight end, who I was super excited about that no one was really paying attention to because I don't think Higbee's going to be ready to start the season.
He won't be.
And the opportunity for that tight end is going to be massive.
Yeah.
And I had Davis Allen.
Yeah, you can't cut Davis
You can't cut that guy. And then they went out and signed Colby Parkinson. I was like, oh, come on.
You have maybe the most irresponsible person in the league, Drew Lock. He's happy to be on the roster, I'll tell you that.
He's the future starter of the New York Giants, guys, so that one's pretty easy.
And then you talked about Watson earlier, running back. So, okay. All right, Jason, you got a couple of names here.
Yeah.
Rookie Jacob Cowing, he's a rookie. I'm not going to tell anyone not to roster a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a rookie playing for the Niners, so obviously you can't cut that guy.
Mac Jones.
That one feels so.
Yes, tell me why you can't cut Mac Jones, please.
Well, I'll tell you why I can't cut Mac Jones because, and this is true, this is the reason why I can't cut Mac Jones. Because right now, I have 3 quarterbacks on my roster. Jalen Hurts, awesome. Bo Nix, okay.
Yeah, all right.
Mac Jones is the third. I was so upset when Joe Flacco got picked up off of waivers because I was like, oh, I'd so much rather have him than Mac Jones. Mac Jones, you can cut that guy, but I just need someone to back up.
I mean, I can't cut that guy, but you should cut that guy.
You can cut that guy. I can't cut that guy.
We worked a trade to not send Kirk Cousins just so Jason wouldn't – because the other manager said, oh, I'll get Kirk Cousins because Jason really needs a backup quarterback. We didn't make the trade.
Oh,
yeah, we made the trade because we want you just to bleed out.
You dirty dog. That's ridiculous.
They are really hyper-targeting you.
Yeah. Well, you aim for the king.
That's what they say. All right, one more name here. Ty Johnson.
Well, I mean,
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ty Johnson has some juice, looks good. They brought in Ray Davis, who I like, but we don't know how the backfield is going to go right now. They also obviously let some veteran running backs walk, and they don't use a bell cow. So You can't cut that guy.
Looking at so these are from Sleeper, the Sleeper platform. Looking at the roster percentages, all the guys that Kyle brought up for me, they're like most of them are above 50%. Drew Lock and Blake Watson are in the 40s. Ty Johnson is rostered on 10.6.
Jason knows something, guys.
I'm one of them.
That is.
You want to know why, Mike?
Why?
Remember we talked about my depth?
Oh yeah.
Dalvin Cook or Ty Johnson. That's where you're at.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And I've got my backup. So I talk about my starters, right? I've got 3 top 5 dynasty running backs on my team. It's awesome. But behind those guys, because they're going to get injured, they're going to have bye weeks. Behind those guys right now, my entire roster: Ty Johnson, Elijah Mitchell, which I love, but also is not a starter unless an injury happens, and Kamani Vidal-Sassoon.
Yes.
Rookie sensation for the Chargers.
All right, Mike, go through mine real quick.
Just hold on. Vidal, it can't work. It can't work.
It can't work, but it would be so good.
It's probably going to work. But it's upsetting to me that the Vidal-Sassoon hive. I think that they're going to end up right. All right.
You're probably right.
For Kyle's team, what are you flexing us with these 70% rostered guys?
Just.
Of course you can't cut them. We already talked about A.T. Perry. All right, but Deonta Foreman.
Deonta Foreman feels amazing to have as
Yes.
like an RB 5-6. He gets 2 games a year. Remember that. That's all he does. Last year I looked it up. He didn't get a touch for like 6 weeks in a row, and then he was the RB1 that 1 week. So,
and then he was banished from the land.
Yeah, and then they hated him after that. But
no, Deonta Foreman should be rostered with Nick Chubb's outlook. Jerome Ford is probably the favorite for the job, but can Deonta Foreman come in and take Jerome Ford's job? Honestly, I think that it's possible. That's not what I'm going to bet on, but it definitely is possible. We talked about Trey Sermon, and then you're holding on the hope for Noah Gray, Kansas City.
So when Jason said Jared Wiley, this has been the internal conversation.
Oh, really?
If Kelsey goes down, who gets the uptick? Do they give it immediately to Wiley, or do they have one more run?
No,
I think Noah Gray's in a contract.
Right now, Noah Gray would get it. Wiley's more of a future play, not an injury.
I don't trust anything you say.
And then what? Isaiah Davis?
We're shooting for anything at the running back position.
So I click on Isaiah Davis, a name that, look, is he seriously a 0% rostered player?
No, he's 36%.
Okay, 30. I'm seeing a different one. But his news blurb is getting first team snaps. So clearly that is what you guys saw.
That moved us. That really did. We liked it a lot.
That's a waste.
We will give you a list of these.
I'd rather have Dalvin Cook. I'll say that.
Would you?
Yes. Look, Braylon Allen is the backup.
Have you seen Isaiah Davis's production profile? That's all I needed to see.
Fair. This is dumb.
All right, so on the website, we have a resource if you want to look at Dynasty Bench Strategy. You can look that up, and even going through certain names. Our Draft Analyzer, by the way, is coming out July 1st. You can look at your Dynasty rosters, find out the ages of your group. For instance, our group is pretty young, so we have a lot of roster spots of young guys, and then maybe you have some dusty guys like Van Jefferson or Robert Woods or whoever. You can get all of that in the Draft Analyzer, so make sure you check that out. And we'll see you again next week. We'll talk some more Dynasty on the podcast. Talk to you later.
What? Talk to you later. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your Dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.